Hi, following a screening of the Shot in the Arm documentary, I led a discussion and Q&A with the audience about vaccine misinformation. This video is highlights from that discussion and Q&A. Full video of the post-film discussion is available at the link at the bottom of this slide, and more information about the Shot in the Arm documentary is also available at the link on the bottom of this slide. I hope you'll consider supporting the book I'm working on, Reversing Misinformation: How to Help Your Family, Friends, Community, and World. I'm very excited about the opportunity to help reverse misinformation, and more information about my book is at the Kickstarter page at the link on the bottom of this slide. Thank you very much.
And just to characterize, make sure people understand the scope of this problem. Pre-COVID, and I'd worked on some anti-vaccine, vaccine-resistant stuff pre-COVID, it was about 1 to 3% of the US population, and it was in certain demographic groups primarily. Now it's about 15% of the population, and it's very different. And it's perhaps growing. The problem is, you got to look at why are people spreading the misinformation, and they're making money, or it's other nation states that want to undermine civil society in Western countries. And how do you stop that? And you can't correct somebody's misinformation by just giving them facts. They believe their misinformation is correct and that your facts are wrong. So they believe that you've been duped, and you just end up in a my facts versus your facts argument. Confirmation bias. People who believe in something like this, if you give them all this other information, they'll say, that's not right, that's not right. They will scroll down through internet searches until they find something that confirms what they already believe. The approach that he takes and comes through in the film is that it shouldn't just be these people are anti-vaxxers and misinformation spreaders and we just need to bash them. It's one of more empathy and engagement and having some good, honest discussion and trying to move the needle on getting people's minds changed a little bit. And it sort of jives with my own observations coming out of COVID that people have lost some resiliency and some tolerance. So getting people engaged in a positive way really takes a little more effort than maybe it used to. The work that I'm trying to do is to help people who are vaccine supporters, who have gotten vaccinated, how to talk with their vaccine opposing or misinformed friends, families, and colleagues. And the way I look at that work, it's got 3 levels of success, roughly. The first one is, if you just try and have arguments with people, that's bad. So trying to make those conversations better, taking the friction out of some of those relationships, whether it's people who are opposing vaccines or think the elections were stolen or the climate change isn't real. The next one is helping to stop the spread by getting those people maybe to question a little bit more their whole beliefs. So if somebody comes to them and says, hey, I heard you know a lot about these vaccines, what can you tell me? Instead of saying, oh, this is everything you got to know, you got to watch Del Bigtree, and that's it. They'd say, well, I believe this, but maybe you want to talk to my cousin Bob because he has kind of a different perspective. Getting that person who has questions a more equal thing. And then, of course, the next level is getting that person to go, yeah, really, I think maybe I was wrong, and maybe I shouldn't be so opposed to vaccines. I need to think about getting them. Maybe I'm not going to get all of them, but I'll start getting them and not spreading the misinformation. So they have a strong sense of autonomy. My body, my choice, my decisions. And the movie, it clearly comes through, freedom, 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 which they're saying it's my choice. And the other one is they have mistrust of big organizations, whether that's big media, big pharma, big government, big healthcare, big companies that are telling them what to do. I always tell people, vaccines are a choice. But it should be an informed choice, not a misinformed choice. But again, it's coming back to where's the mistrust, the misinformation, how does it spread? I interviewed somebody from the book I'm writing who runs an organization, it's primarily people of color, and this guy is not a person of color. And he had one of his employees who was a good employee, they had a good relationship. She was going to get vaccinated, but she said to him, well, they're going to give me a different vaccine than they're going to give you. And he said, no, that's not true. He says, I don't think she believed me. She was going to get vaccinated anyhow. But that was her real belief. That was probably historical and personal experience with the healthcare system in the inner city of being discriminated against. The session I did with Peter Hotez about vaccinated against misinformation, the best solution I came up with was sort of a combination of things really directed at kids, teaching them the scientific process so they understand We know this now, but new data comes along and it modifies our thinking about things, our understanding of the world. Two, and this was critical, media literacy. So when they look at stuff in the news or in the world of the internet or on TV or any other place or some podcast, they can evaluate, is this real information? Where's this? What's the validity of this? And then it goes along with the two of those is something called critical thinking, how to evaluate information. You tell people it puts you high risk for heart disease, they go, oh yeah, everybody gets heart, da, da, da. There's two things that I found can be slightly more effective, makes people's head pop up and their eyes open a little bit. This virus does some unusual things, unlike influenza or anything else. It causes vascular inflammation, which is why it causes all sorts of problems in different organs. People who get COVID, and the worse it is, the higher the risk, it seems. Risk for Alzheimer's and erectile dysfunction. That sometimes will get people, like you saw in the film, they'll perk their eyes and go, really?